Just wanted to point out the information we provide today is of a general advice. If you do want some more information, please seek some professional advice.
Welcome to the Retirement Living Your Way podcast, where we have real conversations with Troy Theobald and the team from RFS Advice. My name's Greg Black. I'm the General Manager at RFS Advice. And in the studio today, I have Brooke Riewoldt with me. How are you, Brooke?
I'm good, thank you, Greg. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And Troy, the man himself. How are you?
Oh, looking forward to this one.
Oh, so
I did
am
it
I.
live on Monday, so I can...
So what are we talking about today, Troy?
Just a little topic, bit of inflation, immigration and the housing crisis.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Without getting ourselves into too much trouble.
No, absolutely. No, that's going to be a challenge for you, but that's okay. Now, for those of you that, if this is the first time that you've actually listened to this podcast, welcome. For those of you that don't know, Troy Theobald is the founding director for RFS Advice, and I just thought it was worth pointing out a couple of his accolades here, because he'll get annoyed. He's not going to be happy I'm doing this, and he's not. He's looking at me. But I think it's important, because when we're talking about things like inflation, housing, immigration stats, and so forth, it's really important to understand, I guess, some of the, who's actually making some of these comments. So, Troy's been doing this for over 25 years. I say he's quite an old guy. He had a birthday earlier this week.
Same age as Greg.
Same age, yep. He's been awarded the Barron's Top 100 7 times, which is certainly a large achievement, and that's for, I guess, being a specialist in that investment piece, as well as, running a professional financial planning business. He's also 8 years in a row been the Financial Standard Power 50, where the top 50 advisors in the country are actually awarded. So again, that's really credit to Troy as far as not only the business, his acumen, his knowledge, but also what he gives back to the community. And obviously our relationship with 4CRB is something that I know Troy and the entire team at RFS certainly do appreciate. He picked up an IFA Investment Advisor of the Year a few years back. He's the chair of the investment committee of our licence, and he is the host of the Retirement Living Your Way show every month on 4CRB, which is a highlight of the month, I would say. Is that fair?
Oh, you'd all love for me to come back in the office after that with some cheeky comment. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. So look, I just thought it was worth really touching on that. And look, Brooks, equally impressive with the qualifications, hasn't had anywhere near the length of time in the industry, because she's much younger than Troy, but has been with the business for 9 years, which is fantastic. As I said, also a shareholder, and has picked up quite a number of academic awards at uni, and currently doing her Masters in Financial Planning. So super smart individuals that I'm with today, so they'll be the ones leading a lot of the conversation. So Troy, why did you want to talk about today's topic?
Couple of things. So people sort of ask about inflation. Why is it bad? What does it do? What's the real effect? We hear about it. Immigration, well, that flows into inflation issues, and that really flows into the housing crisis. And when we get there, I'm sure Brooke will get hot under the collar and go, that generation's fault. And she's right from that perspective, because there is a generational issue in regards to that. But if we start with inflation there, why is it such an issue? And inflation, it just erodes your purchasing power over time. So quietly shrinking the value of wage of everything you spend. Those things I used to buy that were really cheap, because Greg and I are old. We could buy lots of things for $1. You'd get a whole bag of lollies. Now I don't think you'd even get a lolly for $1 if you could.
You definitely don't.
No, so there you go. It's
sad.
It's sad in what feels like a very short period of time. And that's just inflation. That's the difference it makes over time from that. It acts like a sort of hidden tax on savers. So if you're sitting back holding, I'll buy it next year or the year after, your money's not going as far, and it actually takes more of your money to get there. If it's unstable, it's really hard for budgeting, and it distorts figures out there. Makes it hard for businesses as well, because if they're worried about the cost of things going up, and by things, it's everything going up across the board, then it's really hard to budget on projects. And when in doubt, people then do nothing, or they put it off, and we have issues with that. And ultimately, that inflation just erodes that confidence in money over time. Really bad for retirees out there. But if we look at, CPI in Australia came in at December at 3.8, up from 3.4. What's an example? Electricity prices going up 21% annually. That's insane. Turning that switch on over there, how can it cost that much more now than it did a year ago or 2 years ago? It's just crazy how things are going up in regards to that. And that's across the board. And, when you have out there the head of Reserve Bank, confirming government spending's contributing to the resurgence in inflation. There's very clear indicators that cause this, whether it's government expenditure, whether it's immigration pushing up house prices. You can jump on Google, ChatGPT, pick whatever you use. The 1, 2 or 3 things that pop up are all pretty similar. Mm-hmm. So when politicians of either side are just denying, that doesn't help. We need someone to step up and look at the problem and come up with some solutions there.
So just on that then, Troy, with regards to inflation and clients, and Brooke, jump in as well if you've got something you think would be of interest. How do we go with clients when they come in to have a meeting and they've just retired and they're planning for their retirement and they're sort of effectively, I know we don't like to use the word budgeting, but they're having a look at what their expenses are going to be this year. Are clients also thinking out, 5, 10, 15 years? Like are they worrying about it or not?
Yes and no. We're starting to see it as more of the conversation now that inflation has been high over the last few years. It's more common knowledge what inflation is than what it was, say, 7, 10 years ago. It was a bit of an unknown out there, and that was definitely more education in those meetings. It's definitely front of mind for them now as cost of goods have really increased over the last couple of years, and how do we get around that? How do we plan their portfolios to be able to keep up with that? And why you need some level of risk, which goes back to a podcast that we recorded earlier, if you're interested in listening to. But it's how we balance that juggle between risk and of the markets and of volatility versus risk of sitting in cash, which is equally can be risky over the long.
Because if you're sitting in cash in a high, that's
the worse the inflation is, the worse it's eating it away, and it just goes on, and it feels good. It's like the frog in the pot. Okay, it does feel good, but if it's 40 grand you need this year and it's 45 next year and in 5 years it's 50, you're definitely spending your money. And if people are happy with that approach, that's okay, but most of them would argue, I'm not spending my money. Yeah, but you're going to have to. So you're going to notice those differences. And when we've had such big spikes in inflation, I think it's more obvious.
Right.
So people are really noticing at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's, to Brooke's point, that's, we did that last podcast before around that, why we need different risk profile, why we need to have some growth assets in there, because it's going to happen over a long period, and the biggest risk people probably have is, am I going to run out of money?
That's right.
And, that's why some of those annuities and things like that, you could just buy a lifetime annuity, have it a set amount and have it for the next 20 years if you didn't want any risk, but 40 grand a day and 40 grand in 30 years' time.
Absolutely.
Bit of a difference.
Yeah.
No,
that's a because I just think the people are, if you're not thinking about it, and I guess when you have a look at the volatility in the market, there is a tendency, I want to go to cash because I need to keep everything safe. But the reality, it's to your point, Brooke, you do still need a proportion of your portfolio in something that's going to give you some growth just to maintain your purchasing power.
Absolutely. Being safe can still be highly risky at the same time. It's just a different type of risk.
Yeah, I found this one I loved, which was inflation is not your friend, just a very patient enemy.
Yeah, that's gone.
And I went,
that's so true.
That stings, and it's true. I might have to use that a few more with clients in regards to that. But look, particularly for retirees, because they've got a fixed income out there, they've only got a certain amount of capital, they've got longevity, they've got to have it last, so they're going to get mostly affected by higher inflation. So it really is something that retirees, it can really eat into their retirement and what they're doing. Could be the golf fees. They were $1,000, now they're $2,000. Oh, the health insurance used to be $1,000, now it's $5,000. Oh, the car insurance was this. The electricity, multiply that. Big difference.
Absolutely.
So what sort of causes lots of that different inflation out there in different scenarios? And that's really, it comes around different policies and expenditure out there. So when we're looking at things like government expenditure, is that pushing inflation? Do we have immigration issues, which nobody wants to talk about, but there we go. We've got some positives and negatives, because people in goal have no immigration. Why have we got it? Why bother out there? So look, it does expand the labour force and bring skill shortages into a country there. It does support economic growth out there. It can improve fiscal stability. So many generations of people came to Australia via immigration out there, so there's been lots of positive outs there. I don't think anyone's saying zero, but it's just the volume, and it's going to lead into the next one, of housing affordability, which is where I think the real issue and where that intersection's leading at the moment there. So we'll have these notes on our website. What's our website, Greg? Because I'm not allowed to say it.
It's rfsadvice.com.
You'd think that's easy to remember.
I would have thought so, Troy, but for some reason you're a smart man, yet you do tend to struggle with that.
I know. I did get it right on Monday on air, I think, there. But if we look at the negatives, and when you look out there, and this is where the key issues are, and it's what we've got at the moment there, number one issues out there is pressure on housing affordability. So rapid population growth can outpace housing supply, pushing up rents and prices, particularly in major cities. Sounds a bit like what's going on to me. Even Oliver's nodding away going, that sounds a bit like what's going on. Strain on infrastructure and public services. I think our infrastructure is definitely strained out there, and as far as services. Short-term wage suppression. So we're talking about in Australia, wage growth isn't enough, and it's not enough to keep up with everything there. When we bring in more workers, if we bring them in at a lower level, they're at a lower cost, and therefore we're not getting those wage increases there. Uneven distribution of benefits, that's always going to be an issue out there. And this leads into, when we get down the bottom of the 10, more of that political and social backlash. And you get that dependence on population growth over productivity. And I think for about 15 years I've heard Australia's got a productivity problem. And when you go and look at immigration and too much immigration and you rely on that and you don't innovate, look, it comes up on that same list.
Yep.
So it's interesting how intertwined these problems that we hear are actually all linked one way or the other. Housing.
Well, it's interesting. Just on the immigration side, there's, I was reading something when you're talking about, house prices, which you're obviously going to talk about, but where a lot of them are coming into, and I think it's over 80% are actually going into your cities.
Yeah.
So that's putting a lot of the pressure, as opposed to being distributed more equally across Australia into, say, some of the regional areas.
Yeah.
And that obviously creates more of an issue, doesn't it?
And it is. The theory is, we'll bring immigration in and they'll fill our our rural cities and all that. The reality is they don't want to live there.
No, that's right.
Australians don't want to live in most of them because they're going to have kids. The kids want to move away. They want the jobs. Are the jobs there the things they want to do?
Yep.
And then when we have new housing developments, that tends to be built further out. But did we build the infrastructure? On the Gold Coast, we're struggling to build a tram. Seems very difficult to me. Not sure. We built the first half pretty easily. Second half, not so much.
Yep.
Infrastructure seems something in Australia we're really struggling to get things done. But I did say on Monday, look, it's a maths problem more than an issue and anything. So if we look at, an immigration policy for argument's sake there, at September 25, there was about 187,140 new dwellings, so 115 detached, 72 new units there, 72,000. So if we have an immigration policy set based on, say, the previous year's housing construction, and if we built, say, 200,000 homes, we probably need 100,000 of those, for argument's sake, for Australians wanting to move out of house. All those things are growing. We've got 100,000 to allocate for new immigration, 2 people per home. Multiply the 100 by 2, you get to about 200,000. That maths would work. So if it was a maths situation we're trying to solve, last year immigration was 306,000 and we built 187,000 homes. Now, we've got a maths problem. We've already got double the amount of people. There's no spot for any Australian to move out of home. So if you're living at home with mum and dad, there's no room for you because the demand has already filled that. What does that do? It pushes the price up, and we end up in a situation with this generational problem where people are going to be spending their whole lives paying a house off rather than enjoying life and all the things that we've sort of experienced here before. So, it's not even so much a political problem, it's a maths problem. We just need to take the maths calculator down and go, let's have a policy, either party, based on the maths. What can we build? How many can we fit? You can't invite 200 people over for a party if you got 50 seats.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense, but seems we just keep letting people in the front door.
Yep.
The bouncers letting everyone in. We full? I don't know. Keep letting them in. It's not my problem. Yep. Someone's problem, and at the end of the day, we've got what we've got.
And Brooke, fancy Troy making it a maths problem. Who would have thought?
I reckon I could solve it with a spreadsheet. Spreadsheet could solve that. And that's so that feeds into that housing affordability, and it's really one of the country's biggest pressing issues out there, and this is causing social issues. It's causing families, people staying at home longer. Prices have grown much further than incomes out there. So previously, in the 90s, median house price in the cities were 3 or 4 times the average household. Now we're at 7, 8, 9, 10 times that. And with lower interest rates, that's allowed people to borrow more. That's driving it up even more. It's just fueling that more and more. And housing's sort of not seen as a roof over your head necessity. It's now being just treated as an investment, and we've got a problem.
Massive problem.
So Brooke being much younger than us.
A lot like, yes.
Yeah.
Clearly.
And you've got that generate. How do they feel?
The general consensus is definitely they're feeling more deflated about the future of buying their own home and having that sort of Australian dream as such. But unfortunately, the reality is this is the environment that we're dealing with now. So you've got to get past that deflation and go, how can we manage this? How can we achieve our own home purchase? And what are the strategies to be able to look to be able to do that and work towards it? Because it's not an easily solvable solution. There are ideas to reduce immigration and increase housing supply, but that doesn't happen overnight. No. So for that generation that are looking to buy their first home in the next few years, they really need to plan for it now.
And are you finding a lot of your clients, obviously we specialise more in that retirement end, it must be a concern for them that their children are struggling to get ahead in the property market?
Definitely.
Is that a conversation?
We have had that conversation far too many times in the past 12 months.
Yeah.
And it's definitely heavily the bank of mum and dad we're starting to see now that's being able to help that next generation get into housing market.
And it's becoming more and more. It really is. It used to be a part of the conversation. Yep. Now it's almost we bring it up, okay, how are we going to help the kids? How are they going with their mortgage? What's the household for them and stress like?
Really?
And they're actually talking about it, which is very un-Australian, talking about money.
So they're talking to you about it.
Yes.
Are you getting the impression that they're talking as a family unit about it as well? Or is it more just a case of, look, I'm just worried about, Sue and Bob?
That's exactly, and that's where the problem is. That we've got 3 kids in a household, for argument's sake.
Yes.
There's going to be one more successful, one probably a lot less successful, and one in between that's okay. And unfortunately, parents get so fixated on the one that's struggling, we're going to throw all of our resources there, and the other 2 kids miss out. That causes huge family issues.
And you see that a lot?
Oh.
Really?
I'm not that smart when I go, you've got 3 kids, don't you reckon we could just split it 3 ways and help them evenly?
Wow.
Because I think the one that's working, all these crazy hours, putting themselves through education, they could do with a leg up too. Like, don't we think we could help them all evenly, fairly, the same? And that, some households really struggle. A lot of the time people just haven't thought of it. They just saw the need with one, I'll help with that. But what you do for one, the best advice I can give, do for all if you want them to get along, because it won't find out and all that. If we sat our lawyer friend in here, he would tell you they always find out. There's always a problem. And it normally comes out at the most inopportune time, and it just creates issues. So if you can avoid those in advance, and because they're equally needing of that help.
Yeah. So just on that then, what practical tips could you give a couple that have got adult children and they want to have these sorts of discussions? What are some of the options that could be available to them?
Yeah, so education is huge. Getting your children into that regular savings pattern so that they can almost mimic what a mortgage repayment is like. And if they've got that regular saving plan going, and that's going to make it easier when they do transition into that debt repayment period.
Well, that's why I had to pay board when I got my first job, because mum and dad said, well, you need to get into the habit.
Absolutely. Which is another strategy we're seeing some clients look to do now. For the younger generation, they'll be living with their mum and dad for a little bit longer, paying board, and then when they're ready to buy a house, sometimes the parents will put that board contribution they've been keeping it aside as that savings plan, put that towards the deposit to give them a bit of a leg up and get them into that routine for saving. That's a huge help. And
Mine did not do that, and that's okay. Because I was still on a very good wicket, so that's okay.
That didn't happen in my house either, but just saying. But I suppose that's why that immigration, that inflation is such an issue for me, having daughters as well, and you ask them around the housing market and whatever, and exactly to your point, Brooke, that's why I wanted your off-the-cuff answer. It is that despondency of it. It's almost too far away. How on earth did that happen in Australia in a short period of time?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, we're talking COVID-ish to now.
Yeah.
Like, world got a cold, what the hell went on? Like everything has gone out of kilter and we haven't got it back. And unfortunately, Googling of all sorts of things, and I do like a bit of Google AI stuff now because it just gives you stuff without the other. And when you read there, when housing supply fails to keep up, the result is higher house prices, rents. Importantly, population growth is actually not inherently the problem. Rather, it's the interaction between rapid population growth and constrained housing supply that intensifies affordability pressures.
Yeah.
Sounds a bit like what's going on to me.
Very,
I'm not
very
saying
similar.
they're my wonderful, great words.
No.
This is when you actually research factual information, get rid of the politicking, get rid of the rhetoric. That's why I like maths and spreadsheets, because it is a maths problem. More people coming in than you can house.
Yep.
People wanting to move out of mum and dad into a house, we've got a problem. And then we can't build one-off homes because wages have gone up. The builders are struggling out there to build that. So it becomes more and more bigger developments, and then people are moving into units, and then we've just moved 10,000 people. Like we're over from, Isle of Capri there, and the last 5 years there's 4 or 5 different high-rises gone in. There's one bridge either side of that. Now, I'm not the smartest man in many rooms, but smart enough to know that a one-lane bridge either side of there is a major problem.
Yeah, when you got that much, yeah. Absolutely.
And we just put 5 big towers with more to come, and you go, so we've got an infrastructure problem. Hang on, we're back to all the intersection again of all of this.
No, exactly. And so, Brooke, we just sort of bring it back. Education is one area, and the savings and so forth. What other options do you sort of talk through clients if they're looking to support their children or, give them a leg up?
Yeah, so for clients that are looking to support their children, there's ways of how do we do this sustainably without actually impacting the client's retirement. That's huge. They want to be able to help, and they want to be able to do that knowing they're not jeopardising their own needs in that period as well, by being able to do it sustainably and equally across all the children as well, and how to do that. And then also there's other support abilities through certain schemes with the government. So there's super first home buyers saving schemes that could be options that are suitable for some people out there. That's not a one size fits all. There's certain restrictions around those as well. But there are some initiatives out there that can help for the first home buyers.
But having that education obviously is key. But it's, I would imagine, and Troy, jump in on this, it's actually having real conversations with somebody. And I know the two of you do this very, very well, where you apply logic to the conversation, because there's a lot of emotion in that whole framework. How do you have a conversation, say, actually, hang on, A, you're not in the position to be doing what you want to do, or yes, you are, but these are the things that you need to be thinking about?
Yeah, there's 2 parts. So those that can't afford it, we had someone in recently who bought a house for the son who, we're talking about the one or the two. This is the one that need the help. I've bought the house, that's working. Oh, they'd like a bigger house. Excuse me?
Yeah, wow.
They'd like a bigger house. We've given them a house. We've done that.
Yes.
And it's just having that voice to go, you're allowed to say, actually, I've helped with a house.
Yeah.
Which, not
It's
sure
not
you got
bad.
one?
No.
Just checking. Oliver? No one gave me one either. Okay. I would have thought that's an amazing thing to help your kids with.
Spot on.
And for the person to be basically ungrateful to start with, but B, didn't have the financial means to increase that. And the second component is, and I've had a lot of this, we've had Peter Muller from QBM Lawyers on the show, where I've sat with him, and he would say, if someone's, one of the kids needs 300 or 400 grand, great, what I want you to do is sit down and tell the other kids what we've done. If they're more successful, life's been better, whatever, hey, we're going to help out Bill with about 400 grand here to get into his house. We want him all to be secure. In the will, though, each of you gets the first 400 each to square it up, and then everything's a third, so everyone gets their fair share. Are you okay and comfortable with that, just to make sure we don't have family issues or problems? You'd be surprised how often, okay, things move on. So now, some families, there can be issues and dynamics and whatever, but the actual knowing and addressing, and to your point, having those conversations, it's documented. There's no great surprise.
And it also gives the client nearly a bit of an out to say, well, look, I've got advice. I've spoken to Brooke and Troy, and look, no, it's, they're nearly passing that off.
Yeah, we can be the bad guys if needed.
I know, that sounds crazy.
Come Monday, we've got 17 emails. Can you write me a letter for the... I need one for school. Is it sad? I'm happy to be the bad guy.
Yeah,
no, because there's maths to it, and that's exactly it. The cost of aged care, the cost of living, we start with the first of this, inflation. Now, that person is in fixed means in retirement, great, 65, yeah, give them all 400 grand, wonderful. 20 years' time, we're sitting and having a chat going, hang on, I don't have enough.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, the kids' home's gone from 400, should see their mansion. They've all got fancy cars and all sorts of things travelling the world by now because they've got ahead. Now, it's not don't help them, but it's helping them within the means in a measured way. And other people help them per annum, and we do talk to clients about the kids. Do you want to help them with a lump sum, or do you want to help them with a bit along the way? And the bit along the way can work really well because let's say they've got a mortgage of $500,000. You know, there's probably 25 grand of interest going out the door for that. You know, some people may have a situation, they could have a commercial property, they could have a large investment portfolio. You know what, let's give them each 20 grand every year. Do you know what, it pays most of the mortgage, then everything they're paying off is paying it down. It's teaching that habit, to Brooke's point of that education of, oh, there's a bit of a handout here, it's really helpful, it's appreciated, and they feel like they're getting ahead themselves. And surprisingly, a lot of those successful clients, they introduce us to their kids, and the kids then tend to be quite successful. Could be a coincidence though, Greg.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could be a coincidence.
Could be.
Like the best one we've seen, and these are two teachers down in Palm Beach, and had the kids in the regular savings plans when they were getting their part-time jobs through school. They're coming through now into universities and studying and keeping it up, and that's like gold star for parenting.
That's great.
Absolutely should be applauded. It's really set them on that track towards, you know, getting their own home, and that's what they're saving towards, and the family's talking about it. And yeah, really nice to see those positive situations out there, because a lot of people join us and they walk in the door and Brooke's smiling with, oh, I hear you can fix problems. That's normally when where's my
we do get that from time to time.
Yeah.
I'll have a peppermint tea, she'll have a sip of her water. Okay. What
Give it to us.
What did we already do? And we're going to say it like, I'm thinking of, and that's code for I've already done.
Yep.
And then how do we fix it? I'm like, can I just ask, have we already done this? Yeah, okay. All right. We're not here to judge. We're here to fix problems. We'll help fix the problem. But gee, it's nice when people come in and go, have we done this yet? No, great. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because there's probably a reason. We gave them 200 grand each and it was wonderful and all that. Oh, how are the kids? Yeah, one of them's probably getting divorced. You did what?
Yeah.
Oh, no, put it in his account. Does that make a difference in the family court? Don't think so. Did we check on that? No. Yeah. Did we even check under the bonnet here before we did this? No. So there's little things that we just questions to ask that there's nothing that upsets a family more than seeing it walk out the door. And I've seen it where they've given them the money that's been enough to cause a divorce.
Yeah, wow.
And those parents weren't overly happy having basically funded that.
No, rightfully so. Yeah, wow.
So, yeah, unfortunately, it's the one good thing with age. You get to see these things over time to time. Doesn't give us any joy, any pleasure, but when you've seen them and you learn, and hopefully you can part that on to others, which is the purpose of radio and podcasts and all that, much rather people go, oh, okay, maybe I have that chat. If that happens, wonderful.
Yeah, because the reality is we can't solve these issues sitting here today, but it's, again, how do we plan for them? How do we make sure that people are getting the right advice for their individual situation and their individual circumstances?
So, yeah, certainly ways they can help the kids with that housing crisis. Unfortunately, it is linked, the immigration issue. It is what it is. We can sit here and come up with clever ideas based on maths. No politician picks it up, then we've all got a maths problem. So that's why, to Greg's point, how do we give people a solution? And unfortunately, that's why we're sort of focusing on that, because we can't solve those other issues. No. They're huge issues. Inflation, it's just nice to explain to people why it's an issue. Immigration, it's a numbers issue.
But I think it's also good immigration to see both sides, because it's very easy to throw stones at it. Mm-hmm. But the reality is there's positives, absolutely, and there are also negatives, but it's understanding those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the negatives are only issue on the maths.
That's right.
It's pure numbers and what infrastructure and housing we have, and if that's not enough, it's just not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the property side.
Well, the housing flows to everyone. That goes in every household. You're either paying rent, you're living in a house, and everyone thinking, oh, my house went up, wonderful and great. You feel really good, but it's no good if your kids can't afford one, the next generation can't afford one, and then everyone's just in this debt trap going round and round for a long period of time. It's not overly overly optimistic outlook on the world, and when we've got 5 of the 15 most expensive cities in the world, that was, we quoted that, I think, last month on the radio. That's not something you want to go, wow, that's fantastic.
No, that's not great.
No, definitely not.
No, definitely not. So is there anything, just conscious of time, look, I was a little bit nervous. We were a bit nervous when we looked at the topic today that Troy was adamant that he wanted to talk about, and he was keen to talk about it on the Monday show. But I think the key is they are relevant issues, and from our point of view, they are things that they're real, and it's what clients are talking to us about. Correct. And I think that's why it's been really good to have the conversation here today. Any last sort of comments that you want to make before we...
Sounds like we've got Troy going for Prime Minister.
Oh, no. No, sorry, can I...
I don't want to deal with the human aspect of it. I'm just saying there's a math problem. Less people, more housing. It's just an obvious problem. We need to do one with one of those too. How you solve that, that's over to the powers of be, and if we could call them talking puppets, because we can say they're both sides of that.
Yeah, that's right.
Some people that love being in the limelight, they can go and do all that, but from our perspective, it's just understanding where that intersection is, because where I'm passionate is how do we make sure all our kids can afford houses as affordable.
Spot on.
You know, you look at our office, we've got 20 on the team, plenty of younger ones there that have got families and kids, and all of this starting out and coming through, and to sit there and think that either they can't afford a house or it's taking so much of their income they can't afford family life experiences, that's disgraceful.
Yeah, spot on. There needs to be some light at the end of the tunnel.
That's always someone else's problem, but...
Yeah. No, definitely.
I don't have the solution to that one, Brooke.
No.
Sorry.
No. Tough one to solve,
but yeah, helping clients through it in their family household.
That's right.
One we can
definitely assist.
We can assist with, and it's just giving good guidance and avoiding pitfalls in that regard. And I do like Brooke's one there about take the board and give it back.
Absolutely, that's good. Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, Troy and Brooke, thank you very much for your insights and words of wisdom today.
I can see Oliver's sitting there with some hope of housing in his future there. Right. It's looking good. And
I tell you, I think next time, Troy and Brooke, we might get a microphone on Oliver so he can actually ask him a few questions. What do you think?
In the hot seat.
Couple
of opinions.
Okay, well, look, we'll call it there. So, look, thanks again for joining us today. If anyone has any questions whatsoever, please reach out to us at RFS Advice, and that's at rfsadvice.com. And until next time, take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.